Capacity without direction turns into suffering. Capacity with meaning turns into power. So instead of asking, why did this end? Ask, what is this ending preparing me for? Instead of saying, I lost, say, I completed a chapter. Because when you change the meaning, you change your state. And when you change your state, you change what you're capable of doing next. You see, life will keep delivering the same lesson in different packaging until you learn how to read the signal. Endings come to refine you, to strip away what's false, to break the illusion that comfort equals growth. They come when your standards are ready to rise, whether you realize it or not. And yes, it hurts. Of course it does. Growth always does. But pain is not the enemy here. Misinterpretation is. The moment you decide that this ending is not here to break you, but to build you, something inside you shifts. Your posture changes. Your breath deepens. Your mind stops spiraling and starts focusing. Because now you're no longer a victim of circumstances. You're a participant in evolution. And once you truly get this, once it lands not just in your head, but in your nervous system, you stop fearing endings altogether. You stop clinging to what's familiar just because it's familiar. You start trusting that whatever is leaving is creating space for something that matches the person you're becoming now, not the person you were then. This is the moment where strength is born, not the loud kind, not the performative kind, the quiet, grounded strength that comes from knowing that nothing real is ever lost, only outgrown. So stand in this ending, don't rush past it, don't numb it, read it, let it tell you what it's here to tell you. Because the faster you stop calling this the end, the faster you step into what it's really been all along. The beginning of your rise, there is a moment, often quiet, often invisible to everyone else, when everything actually changes. Not when the circumstances improve, not when the fear disappears, not when you finally feel confident or ready. Everything changes in the moment you decide, and most people never realize this, which is why they spend years waiting for permission from life that will never come. They think power is something you earn later, after the plan is perfect, after the timing is right, after they've healed a little more, learned a little more, become a little more, but decision doesn't come after clarity. Clarity comes after decision. That's the order. Always has been. Look at how most people live. They negotiate with themselves every day. I'll start when I feel motivated. I'll speak up when I'm more confident. I'll change when the fear goes away. And so they stay stuck, not because they lack ability, but because they keep postponing commitment. They confuse thinking with deciding. They confuse wanting with choosing, and the body knows the difference. A real decision is not a preference. It's not a hope. It's not a wish disguised as intention. A real decision is a line you draw in the sand where there is no plan B that allows you to return to the old life. The moment you decide at that level, your nervous system organizes itself around that choice. Your focus sharpens, your energy changes, your standards rise, and suddenly you start seeing options that were invisible before. This is why two people can face the same situation and walk away with completely different lives. One waits, the other decides. One asks, what if it doesn't work? The other says, this ends now. And life responds accordingly. You don't need certainty to decide. You don't need confidence to decide. You don't even need belief in yourself to decide. What you need is a threshold, something inside you that says, I will not live like this anymore. That's it. That's the birthplace of power. Not inspiration, not motivation, decision, because decision cuts through chaos. It stops the mental spinning. It silences the inner debate. When you truly decide, the question is no longer if you'll move forward, but how. And the how always reveals itself once the if is settled. Most people never experience their own strength because they keep one foot in the past and one foot in the future. They tell themselves they're exploring options. But what they're really doing is protecting their comfort. They want change without consequence, growth without discomfort, a new life without letting the old one die. but life doesn't respond to half commitment. Here's something most people don't want to hear but desperately need to. Indecision is a decision. Every day you don't choose, you are choosing to stay the same. Every time you delay, you reinforce the identity of someone who waits. And identity is powerful. It shapes your behavior, your expectations, your results. The good news is this works in your favor the moment you flip it. The moment you decide, this is who I am now, this is what I stand for, this is what I will no longer tolerate, you start becoming that person immediately before any evidence shows up. Action follows identity, not the other way around. And yes, fear will still be there. Fear doesn't disappear when you decide. It gets quieter when it realizes it's no longer in charge. Fear's job is to keep you safe, not fulfilled. If you wait for fear to approve your future, you'll live a very small life. But when you decide to spite fear, you teach your nervous system a new rule: growth is safe. That's how confidence is built. Not through thinking positive thoughts, but through proving to yourself that you do what you say you'll do. Every decision you honor strengthens trust with yourself. Every time you act in alignment with your word, your self-respect grows, and self-respect is the foundation of momentum. This is especially important when you're beginning again, because starting over can feel fragile. It can feel like you're exposed, unsure, standing on unfamiliar ground. That's exactly why decision matters now more than ever. Not a dramatic announcement, not a promise to the world, a private, unshakable decision that this chapter will be different because you will be different. Decide how you will show up when it's hard. Decide what you will no longer accept from yourself. Decide the standards that govern your time, your energy, your focus. Life will test that decision, not to punish you, but to strengthen it. And each time you hold the line, you become more solid, more grounded, more powerful. You don't need to know the entire path. You just need to know what you are no longer available for. From that clarity, the next step emerges, then the next, then the next. Momentum is born from movement, and movement is born from decision. So if you're waiting for a sign, let this be it. Decide, not when it's comfortable, not when it's easy, not when you feel ready, but now, because the moment you decide, life rearranges itself to meet you. Pain is one of the most misunderstood forces in the human experience. Most people spend their entire lives trying to avoid it, numb it, distract themselves from it, or explain it away. They treat pain like an enemy that showed up uninvited, something that must be eliminated before life can move forward. But pain isn't here to ruin you. Pain is here to direct you. And whether it becomes fuel or a prison depends entirely on the meaning you give it. Two people can experience the same loss, the same rejection, the same failure. One uses it as an excuse to shut down, to harden, to play small for the rest of their life. The other uses it as a turning point. The difference isn't strength. It isn't luck. It's interpretation. Pain without meaning becomes suffering. Pain with purpose becomes power. Most people unknowingly turn pain into a prison by replaying it. They tell the same story over and over, not because they want to heal, but because the story gives their pain an identity. This happened to me. This is why I can't trust. This is why I'm like this. And slowly the pain becomes familiar. It becomes part of who they think they are. They don't realize they're no longer experiencing the event. They're experiencing the memory of it, reinforced by repetition. Your nervous system doesn't know the difference between something happening now and something vividly remembered. So every time you relive the story, your body reacts as if it's happening again. That's how pain keeps you trapped. Not through the original moment, but through the meaning you continue to assign to it. But here's the shift that changes everything. Pain is a signal, not a verdict. It's information. It's feedback. It's telling you something matters. It's pointing to a boundary that was crossed, a standard that was violated, a truth that was ignored. When you stop asking, how do I get rid of this pain? and start asking, what is this pain asking of me? You reclaim your power. Pain can become fuel the moment you decide it will not be wasted. Fuel doesn't mean you pretend it didn't hurt. Fuel means you use the intensity of that emotion to create change, the frustration that finally pushes you to speak up, the heartbreak that forces you to choose yourself, the disappointment that sharpens your focus and raises your standards. Think about it. Some of the most decisive moments in your life didn't come from comfort. They came when something hurt enough that staying the same became more painful than changing. Pain creates leverage. It gives you the emotional intensity required to break patterns that logic alone cannot touch. But only if you direct it. Undirected pain turns inward. It becomes self-doubt, shame, resentment. Directed pain becomes discipline, clarity, and resolve. The same energy, completely different outcomes. And direction comes from meaning. What does this pain mean about who you are, about what you value, about what must change? Most people ask the wrong question. They ask, why did this happen to me? That question keeps you stuck in the past. The more powerful question is, how will this shape me? That question points forward. It turns pain into a tool instead of a trap. This is especially important when you're beginning again. Starting over often reopens old wounds. It reminds you of what didn't work, what you lost, what you wish you'd done differently. And if you're not conscious, that pain will whisper limits into your ear. It will tell you to play safe, to keep expectations low, to protect yourself by staying small. But protection is not the same as growth. Healing doesn't mean avoiding pain. It means learning how to move through it without letting it define you. It means using pain as a teacher instead of a jailer. You don't honor your pain by staying loyal to it. You honor it by letting it transform you. By extracting the lesson and releasing the weight, by saying, this hurt and it made me wiser, not weaker. And let me be clear, this doesn't happen by accident. It's a choice. Every day you choose whether pain will harden you or hone you, whether it will close your heart or strengthen your boundaries, whether it will become an excuse or a catalyst. The moment you stop resisting pain, it loses its grip. The moment you stop identifying with it, it loses its authority. You are not your wounds. You are the one who survived them, and survival is evidence of strength, even if it doesn't feel like it yet. When you use pain as fuel, you stop asking life to be easier and start asking yourself to be stronger. You stop waiting for the past to make sense and start making meaning out of it. And that meaning becomes the foundation for the next version of you. So don't run from the pain you're feeling now. Don't numb it. Don't dramatize it. Listen to it. Direct it. Decide what it will make you become, because the moment pain stops being a prison is the moment it becomes the fire that forges who you are next. Most people try to change their lives by changing their actions. They read the books, watch the videos, write the goals, make the plans. They tell themselves, I just need to work harder, or I need better habits, or I need more discipline. And for a little while, it works. Or get a burst of motivation. They take some action. They see a little progress. And then, almost without fail, they slide back into the same patterns. Not because they're lazy, not because they don't want badly enough, but because they're trying to build a new life on top of an old identity. Your identity is the invisible force running your behavior. It's the story you tell yourself about who you are, what you're capable of, what people like you do or don't do. And no matter how strong your willpower is, your identity will always win in the long run. You can force yourself to act out of character for a while, but eventually you will return to what feels familiar, what feels like you. That's why real change never starts with doing more. It starts with becoming more. Before your results can change, the way you see yourself has to change. Because you don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your identity. Think about the language people use. I'm just not consistent. I've always been bad with money. I'm not the kind of person who finishes things. They say it casually, almost jokingly, not realizing they're issuing commands to their nervous system. Every time you reinforce that identity, your brain looks for evidence to support it. And it will find it. Not because it's true, but because that's what it's been told to look for. When you're beginning again, this is the most dangerous trap of all. You carry the old labels into the new chapter. You say you're starting fresh, but you bring the same self-image with you. So the new opportunity slowly turns into the same outcome. Different circumstances, same story. If you want this beginning to be different, the identity has to upgrade first. You must decide who you are now, not based on your past, but based on your standards. Identity is not your history, it's your commitments. It's what you choose to stand for when no one is watching. Here's the key. Identity changes through evidence, not through affirmations you don't believe, not through pretending to be confident. Evidence. Small, consistent actions that prove to your nervous system, this is who I am now. Every time you do what aligns with your new identity, you cast a vote for that version of yourself. You don't wait to feel like a disciplined person and then act disciplined. You act disciplined even when it's uncomfortable and your identity catches up. You don't wait to feel confident before speaking. You speak, your body survives it, and confidence is built. Action informs identity, but the action has to be intentional. It has to come from a clear decision about who you are becoming. Not what you're trying to get, but who you're choosing to be. That's a different energy. That's why some people move with certainty even before results show up. They're not waiting for proof. They've already decided who they are. This is especially important after setbacks, failures, or endings. Those moments try to shrink. Why? Our identity. They whisper, see? This is who you really are. And if you accept that story, you live it out. But if you challenge it, if you say, that's what happened, not who I am, you break the cycle. Upgrading. Your identity doesn't mean rejecting your past. It means reinterpreting it. The struggles didn't define your limits. They revealed your resilience. The mistakes didn't expose your weakness. They sharpened your awareness. The old version of you did the best they could with the tools they had. The new version has more tools, more clarity, more strength. And here's something most people miss. Identity is reinforced by standards. What you tolerate in your life, your habits, your environment, your relationships, is a reflection of who you believe you are worthy of being. The moment you raise your standards, your identity begins to shift automatically. You don't say, I'm confident, and then tolerate disrespect. You don't say, I value my time, and then waste it. Your standards reveal your identity more loudly than your words ever will. And the moment you change what you tolerate, you change who you are becoming. Beginning again isn't about erasing the past. It's about upgrading the operating system. It's about stepping into this chapter with a stronger sense of self, a clearer sense of direction, and a deeper level of self-trust. Not perfection, alignment. So stop asking, what should I do differently this time? And start asking, who must I become for this next PTR to work? Answer that question honestly, and then prove it to yourself and